Okay, so I want you to just picture this scene for a second. It's that moment everyone, wonders about. You've taken your final breath.
Hmm.
The screen fades to black, and
Mm-hmm.
then it lights up again. You're
Hmm.
standing there, maybe a little disoriented, and you're looking at the creator, the big guy.
The ultimate performance review.
Exactly, the ultimate performance review. And you're bracing yourself, or
Yeah.
you're running through this mental checklist. Did I follow the rules? Did I donate enough? Was I too mean to my sibling back in '98?
Right.
You're ready for the judgment. But instead, God just looks at you, smiles, and asks a single four-word question.
How is heaven?
How was heaven?
It completely short-circuits the brain, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like a trick question. You'd be standing there thinking, what do you mean, how was it? I thought I was just getting in line to enter heaven.
And that confusion is exactly the point. Today we're diving into a really provocative piece of writing a blog post titled How Was Heaven? By Jimmy Perez from back in December 2023. And I want to be clear right off the bat, this isn't a theological sermon. We're not here to preach. But Perez offers a perspective shift that is so radical, it forces you to rethink literally everything about your day.
It's the kind of concept that sounds simple at first, but the more you chew on it, the more it just messes with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the premise is, what if we have the geography entirely backwards?
What if
This is the traffic, the coffee, the deadlines, the sunsets. What if this is the heaven we've been promised?
And we're just too distracted to notice.
Or too
It
distracted.
reminds me of that old saying, about fish not knowing they're in water. Perez is suggesting we are swimming in the miraculous, but we're treating it like a waiting room.
A waiting room. That is exactly the phrase that got me. Perez writes that so many of us are waiting to die.
That's a haunting phrase.
It is. We treat life as this thing we have to get through, this test we have to pass so we can finally get to the good place.
Yeah.
But let's go back to that scenario Perez paints, because the details he uses are just. They're startlingly human.
They really are.
Yeah.
So he sets this scene of meeting God, and you, the newly deceased soul, you're totally baffled by the question, how was heaven?
Right.
You literally ask, isn't this the gate to heaven? And the reaction Perez gives God here is just my favorite part of the whole text.
To chai tea.
I mean, the chai tea, right?
Yeah.
Perez writes that God is sipping a chai tea, and upon hearing your confusion, he literally chokes on it.
See, that stops me every time. It's such a specific, disarming image. It strips away all the, stained glass cathedral vibes.
Totally.
It makes the divine feel almost casual, like a friend you're catching up with at a cafe.
It creates intimacy immediately,
Yeah.
but it also highlights the absurdity.
Yeah.
God isn't angry, he's flabbergasted.
Yes.
He's laughing at the cosmic joke that you didn't realize where you just came from. He's looking at you like, wait, you're kidding, right? You missed it.
And that's where the humor kind of fades and it gets a little heavy. Because the human in the story admits, well, I was waiting until I died to go to
It
heaven.
was in God's response. It hits hard. It's the rebuttal that anchors the whole piece.
Hmm.
God asks, are you telling me that you are waiting to die in order to finally live?
Oof. That hurts. That actually hurts to hear.
It should. It's a direct challenge to the way so many of us live.
Mhm.
We delay gratification. We delay joy.
Mm.
We think, oh, I'll be happy when I retire, or I'll be at peace when this problem is solved.
Mm-hmm.
Perez is arguing that this mindset is a fundamental misunderstanding of the gift. God continues in the dialogue saying, I sent you to heaven as a child. I had you learn how impossible life and all your gifts are. I had you feel with every sense of you.
That focus on the senses is interesting because usually when people talk about heaven in a religious context, it's all very abstract, floating on clouds, playing harps.
Eternal peace. It's
Yeah.
very floaty.
Very floaty, exactly.
Right. It's usually described as a spiritual state devoid of physical needs or sensations. But Perez flips that completely.
Mhm.
He suggests that the heaven part is specifically the sensory experience.
The ability to taste a strawberry, to feel the cold wind, to have your heart race,
The grit.
to feel pain even.
Implicitly, yes. Because without the contrast, the sensation doesn't really exist. He's arguing that the impossible beauty of existence is the reward.
Okay, but wait, I have to play devil advocate for a second.
Please.
Because I know there are people listening who are stuck in traffic or, dealing with a health issue or just stressed out of their minds. And they're thinking, okay, if this is heaven, I'd like to speak to the manager.
And that is a completely valid reaction. If this is heaven, why does it hurt so much? But this leads to the second major inversion Perez proposes.
Uh-huh.
It's about the relationship between work and vacation.
This is the part that melted my brain a little bit.
So the standard model is Earth is the work, the struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and the afterlife is the rest, the vacation.
Right.
Perez suggests the opposite. Earth is the vacation. The afterlife is back to work.
Back to work. That sounds miserable. Why would anyone want to go to an afterlife if it's just a return to the office?
Well, think about what work means in a cosmic sense.
Yeah.
If you are an eternal spiritual being, your default state is probably static,
Timeless.
timeless, maybe a bit boring.
Like sitting in an empty room forever.
Exactly. So Earth is the excursion. It's the field trip. It's the PTO you saved up for eons just to come down here and feel what it's like to scrape your knee or fall in love.
Mm.
In the blog, God says the plan was for you to enjoy heaven, meaning Earth, and then come back to work and dream of the beautiful memories you created.
So death is basically the commute home, and eternity is spending time looking at the photo album from your trip.
Precisely. And if you didn't take any photos, if you spent the whole trip sitting in the hotel room waiting to go home, you have nothing to look at for eternity.
That raises the stakes significantly. The punishment isn't hellfire, it's eternal boredom.
It's having no stories to tell.
Wow.
It's the tragedy of a wasted ticket. And we know Perez takes this idea really seriously because he even tried to explain it to his kids. There's this great backstory about a book he wrote.
Right, the Adams story. This was really charming.
So he writes this story for his children, originally titled An Atom in Heaven. The idea being that an atom, the basic building block of us, starts in the divine realm.
But his kids, who I imagine are his toughest critics,
Oh, for sure.
they actually renamed it.
They did. They called it An Atom's Journey.
Which is such a kid thing to do. They focus on the movement, the adventure.
It is. But Perez notes that when he translated the book into Spanish, he titled it Las Vacaciones de la Vida.
Life's vacation.
He is doubling down on this. He really wants us to view this little span of time between birth and death as a limited time getaway.
But again, when I hear vacation, I think of lying on a beach doing absolutely nothing, maybe drinking a pina colada.
Right.
But that's not really what Perez is getting at, is it? He's not saying, go be a hedonist.
No, absolutely not. And that's where the metaphor needs a little nuance. Think about the best vacations you've ever had. Were they the ones where you slept 14 hours a day? Or were they the ones where you, I don't know, hiked a mountain, explored a new city, got lost, found some weird restaurant, and came home exhausted?
Definitely the second one, the ones where you feel alive.
Exactly.
Huh?
A good vacation involves activity, engagement, and purpose. And Perez pivots here to talk about what we're actually supposed to do on this vacation. He breaks it down into a generic purpose and a specific purpose.
I liked the generic purpose because it's so achievable. He says it's simply to leave this place better than I found it. But he lists these specific locations, my family, my friends, my job, and then he throws in my local gas station.
The local gas station.
I mean, come on. The gas station is usually the place where I'm the most impatient. It smells like gasoline, the pump is slow, it's cold. How do you make the gas station heaven?
That is the challenge, isn't it? It connects right back to the Chai Tea God. It's about finding the divine in the absolute mundane. If Earth is heaven, then the gas station is part of the resort.
So treating the clerk with kindness.
Treating the clerk with kindness, wiping up a coffee spill, just bringing a frantic energy down to a calm one. It's maintaining the amenities of the resort, so to speak.
I like that, maintaining the amenities. And then he moves to the specific purpose, and this is where he gets into some theology that might, ruffle some feathers. And he talks about being created in God's image.
This is a concept that has been debated for thousands of years. Usually people interpret it morally, that we have a conscience, or physically, which is a bit more naive.
Sure.
But Perez takes a functional view. He focuses on the word creator.
He says, I created you in my image, meaning I gave you the power of the creator to create.
Right. He's arguing that the defining characteristic of the divine is the ability to bring things into existence. And therefore, our defining characteristic is that same ability.
He even admits in the text that religious people sometimes shiver when he claims to be God at times. That is a bold way to put it.
It is, and he's walking a fine line. But he clarifies it immediately. He isn't claiming to be the supreme being. He isn't asking for worship. He's saying that in your localized reality, you are the God of your choices. You are the God of your reaction. He says, this life is a canvas, and we're the artist.
The canvas metaphor really helps explain why the world can look so terrible if it's supposed to be heaven. Because if we are all artists, well, some people are painting really ugly pictures.
Exactly. Perez explicitly points this out. He says he sees people who have created a hell, people who have created a neutral place, and people who have created a heaven. The environment is neutral.
The creation is up to us.
The creation is up to us.
And the scariest group he mentions are the people who allow external circumstances to create their canvas.
The passive creators.
That's most of us, isn't it? A lot of the time. We let the news or the weather or our boss determine what our heaven looks like today.
We let life happen to us. Perez quotes Bernie S. Siegel here, who says, "Whether or not we create is not up to us. Every interaction, movement, and decision is creativity at work."
That is terrifyingly empowering. It means you can't opt out. You are creating something, either joy or misery, every single time you walk into a room.
You're constantly painting. The question is, are you holding the brush, or are you just letting it drag across the canvas while you sleepwalk?
So how do we wake up? Because it's one thing to have this philosophical chat, but Monday morning still happens.
It does.
Perez actually shares a really touching, practical way he tested this idea out.
He brings it to his mother. He asks her the question, how was heaven?
And she didn't just nod and smile. She took it literally. She wrote it down on sticky notes.
Sticky notes. Such a simple tool. She posted the question in several places in her house.
And Perez challenges us to do the same. And I start thinking about that. Imagine brushing your teeth in the morning, looking in the mirror, and seeing a note that says, "How is heaven going today?"
It's a pattern interrupt. It forces you to step out of the waiting to die mindset and into the I am currently on vacation mindset.
Yeah.
Changes how you pour your coffee. It changes how you drive to work.
He actually lists a series of questions that he calls an examination of conscience. But they're not the typical guilt-trippy religious questions. They're performance questions.
They are questions about intensity.
One of them is just, did you leave it all in the ring like a great boxer?
Oh, that metaphor.
Right.
I think that's the most important image in the whole piece, actually.
Why does that one stand out to you so much?
Because often when we think of heaven on earth or spiritual peace, we think of stillness, preservation.
Keeping ourselves safe.
Exactly. The boxer metaphor is the opposite. It's about expenditure. It's about sweat and effort and taking hits and just keeping moving.
It reframes exhaustion, doesn't it? We usually see exhaustion as a failure. I'm so tired, I must be doing something wrong.
Right. But Perez asks, did you arrive in front of God's feet crawling exhausted because you achieved so much in heaven? He wants you to arrive at the gates of the afterlife completely empty, used up.
Die empty. That's a powerful concept. It's like returning a rental car. You don't want to return it with a full tank of gas if you paid for the mileage.
Drive it.
Drive it.
Exactly. Drive the car. He's saying, I gave you this incredible body, these senses, this world. Don't bring it back to me in pristine condition. Bring it back with scratches and dents and zero fuel because you used every single bit of it.
Contrast that with the person who arrives at the afterlife well-rested, safe, but having done nothing.
That's the waiting to die person. And God's response to that person is just pity. I hope you enjoyed heaven.
Yeah.
Come back to work.
But there's nothing to talk about at the water cooler.
Nothing at all.
It really connects back to that idea of the eternal now he mentions near the end. He says, we have been in an eternal now as far as we can remember and will continue to be in an eternal now until we're not.
This is the physics of it. The past is a memory. The future is a fantasy. The only place you can actually be, the only place you can paint on the canvas is right now. If you are waiting for the future, you're waiting for something that literally doesn't exist.
He uses a really strong word to describe the alternative. He says, I refuse to disgrace the gift of heaven my Father has gifted me. Disgrace.
It's a harsh word, but it fits. Imagine you saved up for 10 years to send your friend to Hawaii. All expenses paid. The most beautiful resort. And they come back and you ask, how was it? And they say, hey, the flight was long. The sand was kind of hot. I mostly just watched TV in the room until it was time to leave.
You'd be furious. You'd feel insulted.
You feel disgraced. That is what Perez is suggesting we are doing to God when we complain about life's imperfections. He actually cracks a little joke about it.
He does.
He says, though we complain about life's imperfections, let's be honest, God did a heaven of a job considering.
A heaven of a job. I see what he did there.
It's witty, but the point stands. Look at the material. Look at the colors. Look at the taste of food. It's a pretty good setup.
It really is. So we've got the chai tea god, the sticky notes, the boxer. It's a lot to process. And I think for some listeners, this might feel overwhelming. Like, oh, great, now I have the pressure of making every second magical.
And Perez anticipates that. He doesn't want this to be another source of guilt. He explicitly says, These questions aren't supposed to make you feel bad. I'm just trying to raise awareness.
And he ends with what he calls the good news.
The good news is you're still alive. You still have time. It's not too late.
That's the takeaway. If you are hearing my voice right now, you are still on the trip, you haven't gone back to the office yet,
The canvas is still wet. You can paint over the gray parts. You can change the picture right now.
you can drive to the gas station and decide it's a resort amenity.
You can. It takes effort. It takes that boxer mentality, but you can do it.
It changes the narrative from, I have to get through this day, to I get to create this day.
And that shift changes everything.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to where we started, that forward question.
It's the question that Perez wants you to be ready for.
We really encourage you to try the sticky note challenge. Put it on your mirror, put it on your dashboard. See if it changes the way you react when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Just ask yourself, if I had to give a trip report right now, what would I say?
So here's the thought we're going to leave you with today. As you go about your business, as you deal with the noise and the stress and the beauty of it all, just keep this in the back of your mind.
What if the first words you hear when it's all over are simply, how is heaven?
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.